Why is it we Malaysians are still adopting this culture? Where is the mistake? And the second question is, now having known that Petronas may run out of income in the next 2 decades, has the government done any specific measures to overcome that? Find another source of income that could actually be sustainable for the country's development further than the 2 decades to come. Thank you very much.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andrew Liaosheng, and I'm going with the accounting degree program. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the few months back, last month, the government said we face the inflation together, and there will be a 10% reduce of the Minister entertainment allowance only to the three YB here. Do you agree with this statement? Second, Mr. Kerry said about there will be the windfall tax that will benefit us. Do remember we have the independent tax agent come in tax exemption. Remember that. And third, the both YB, Tommy Kwan and Mr. Kerry used to study in Singapore. One time we always compare us with them. We are careful with them so we can improve and make the country better. This study is better by this morning. That's very good. Thank you very much.
Okay, on the first question, ask not what you do, what the country can do for you, but what you do for the country. I think the three of us here, I dare say, on your behalf, taken a step to take part in the country's political system and to hope to effect some changes from the government system instead of waiting for changes to happen to us. So I think all of us have made our relevant bits of sacrifices, some more than others. And we hope to make some changes. And I think it's not enough for three of us up here to have taken the necessary step. I think one of the biggest reasons why I'm very, very keen to be here is to really meet the future generation who hopefully step in our shoes so that I can retire. At least another 10 or 20 people who join politics on either side of the fence. We need more capable leaders on either side of the fence to make our nation's two-party democratic political system a better system for everyone. Measures to reduce dependence on the petroleum. I think in that aspect, this deserves another lecture, but I'll just briefly touch on it. I do not think that we are doing enough to replace petroleum income in the future. There's been a lot of emphasis on human capital in our government's budget, in our non-Malaysian plan, but I personally do not see the qualitative aspects of it taking place in the country. We do not feel the increase in the improvements in human capital here. I think there's a lot to be done still in that space. And as for Singapore, without trying to sound like a Singapore clone, I think we need to learn whatever we can from the economic aspect of Singapore's administration and try not to learn too much from its political system.
Thank you very much. First question, Andrew. He quoted famous quote from Jack Kennedy. Jack's younger brother, Bobby, said, people look at things as they are and ask why. I look at things that never were and ask why not. So in that same spirit, I'd like you to look at things that have never been, that can be, and ask why we can't get there. The subsidy is a case in point. We've always looked at it and say, the subsidy is there, why do we have it? Because we need to help people. But this government, for once, looked at things and says, why not? Why not now, for once? In our country's history, do we not break away from the culture of subsidy, the don't-tap mentality, to make sure that this economy can be resilient in the future? And that's what we've done. That's why we're going to experience it. Petronas, source of income, yes, we're overly reliant on Petronas, but for as long as we do have Petronas, it's incumbent upon us to support Petronas to increase the income. That's why we can't take every single cent from Petronas. That's why Petronas has to reinvest about 30% of its earnings in exploration, it has to go to Sudan, it has to go to Iran, it has to go to Kyrgyzstan, it has to go to all these towns to make sure that it finds more fuel. Because one day, all our oil wells, whether it's the Natuna oil fields off Brunei, whether it's the Ambalat oil fields, whether it's contested with Indonesia, these are all going to dry up. And one day we'll have to survive without oil fields in Malaysia. That's why they're out there trying to increase revenue. And the other thing is we have to increase other forms of earnings for the economy. Now, Tony mentioned earlier about human capital. The other thing that we're addicted to, and this is another subsidy mentality, is foreign labor. Just as much as we're addicted to subsidy, we are also addicted to foreign labor. Foreign labor suppresses wages, so we think we're very competitive, but we're not really competitive because the products that are made in Malaysia are being made by Rakit Fakul from Dhaka, Bangladesh, who's based in Malaysia. So it's not really giving us any competitiveness in terms of it's giving us a false sense of competitiveness, but not any real sense of competitiveness. Previously, foreign labor used to be in plantations. And then slowly they crept into our factories. Today, if you go to Hilton Hotel, the person serving you is not Malaysian. If you go to a restaurant, the person serving you is not Malaysian. It's probably a Nepalese. So this whole addiction to foreign labor is another structural adjustment, as painful as it may sound, that we have to undertake in the next 2 to 3 years. Finally, Andrew just now, a lot of questions, very impressive, I didn't understand it. And stimulus allowance, you can count it now. Very smart. Entertainment allowance, yes, I agree, probably not enough. I didn't know they had so much entertainment allowance, but we should probably cut down more if we could. Now, the comparison with Singapore, I agree. I think the spirit behind Andrew's question is that we always compare ourselves to Indonesia, we compare ourselves to India, not India, Pakistan, right? Burma, and I think this is not the way forward. We should be benchmarking ourselves to bigger and better countries. Hong Kong, Korea, Japan. Singapore, I don't even want to compare ourselves to Singapore. We should be kicking Singapore's ass right now.
Going back to the question which quoted JFK now. Again, I agree, whereby previously what I think is very frustrating for a lot of us is that when you talk about Malaysians, especially young people, is that they complain a lot about the country, but a lot of them end up working overseas and not doing enough about it. But I think what happened on 8 March 2008 gave us some faith that Malaysians are willing to do something, at least starting with the voting for change. And now we are seeing the results of it. And I think that's a very important thing. And I think it's also very important that there are a lot of things we want to do more for the government. At the same time, as I pointed out just now, if we've lost 330 billion ringgit in corruption over the past 20 years, these are the things that the government needs to think about as well, because that's our money. And I think it needs to go on both ways, where the government and people need to work together for the progress of this country. On Singapore, again, I probably agree with what we find that at a certain level, it's easier to manage Singapore as a small country. It inherited sort of a far more developed infrastructure than Malaysia had, and a lot more things. But we have to face it. If we are really serious about moving forward, we have to compare ourselves with the best. Perhaps Singapore is a bit too small or sort of a false comparison. But we can look at Korea. Korea, Singapore, Taiwan all started at the same level with us in the 1960s. Now Singaporeans earn 5 times more than